All right, we're live, and I just kind of did this sort of a emergency broadcast with everything that looks like it's going to go down over the weekend. The weather here has been extremely cold. Fortunately, I was able to get out yesterday and hit the range and test out, prove out some of these firearms that I recently acquired. Some are my uh, friends, and well, one guy I'm hoping to get that 223 wide back to him, uh, and that, and a couple of these builds I made, and I figured out what happened with the M1A1 build. They put the wrong sight base. It's an F sight base, not a non-F. That's the issue. So don't know how that's all gonna turn about here. Uh, but I just discovered that today. But yeah, they're predicting it's been a wild prediction. It's been exceptionally cold this year, other than normal or usual, and it's gone on for weeks. You know, it's pretty terrible, and it is strange. It'll be 25 degrees one day, then it'll get up to I think it was 60 yesterday or something, and now it's somewhat warm now, but it's gonna starting tonight. It's gonna get cold, and that's when it's gonna happen. But the reason I got the live in now is supposedly, at least for where I live, it was supposed to be a snowstorm, and then if you look at any of the weather things, they're predicting ice, and they're predicting like 2 inches of ice, um, which you know, afternoon is catastrophic. Okay, we had an ice storm. It was back. Try to think. Mm, it was 2011, and we didn't have power for almost a week, and we couldn't leave the house for like 4 days. The roads were impassable. Um, since then, I believe the state has gotten more snow plows and equipment to help clear the roads. But trying to, if it's ice, if it's a lot of ice, I'm not getting out of my development onto the main road for days. I'll be stuck. Yeah, we've that's what I've been working on today, getting all the last stuff. We've My wife has kept a stockpile of non-perishable food in the house. We just had to get some more drinking water and that. See, the problem is if you lose power, the last time in I think it was 2011 we had that, or 2000, yeah, 2011. Uh, we had a really bad ice storm, and I don't know how much it was or what happened, but I mean trees were falling. If when I was trying, I worked the third shift. I was coming home uh, in the morning. Yes, it is. That's about the only good news I've had in a long time. 190 something ounce. But back to the ice story. We did lose power for a week. Okay, and it's pretty tough. I got a well and all this other stuff, and it was cold. And it was extremely dangerous. I was coming home at 7 in the morning when the new shift come in, and I tried, just a straight drive down the one road from the one town I was working in. Should have took me, you know, 30 minutes to get home, and it turned into almost 2.5 hours. Okay, I was lucky one tree fell where I wouldn't have got stuck out by this dairy farm and I could get around. But they had some pretty giant trees. I got to where the interstate was, got through that, and was going. I went down not even a quarter mile, and a damn tree fell across the road. I mean, a large one. Luckily, nobody's car got hit. There was a older gentleman that a tree did fall on his vehicle while he was in it driving, and he was lucky the way that it hit it. It didn't injure him, but I mean, it destroyed his vehicle. And that's scary because everything is just covered with snow and stuff. And like I tried getting around where the one tree fell to go up around and come back to the house. And when I went up the other road, uh, there was a tree there, and there was a couple guys. They had a chainsaw. They were trying to cut it and pull it out, and I went out to help them. And while we were out there, you can hear the trees cracking, and everybody freezes because you don't know if the damn thing's going to fall on us. And what happened was we were looking, there was one tree down, another one, and then there was all this cracking noise. And the three of us said, you know what? We got to find another way because something tells us we're going to end up dead here on this road. So it's bad. So, and the thing is, that's why we had this one tree in the back. That's where all our pets lived there. But I got a picture when we first bought the house, and that tree was even with the roof, which is 1 story house, you know, a little bit higher than the roof. And that thing was up there. We had to cut it down because if it fell, or even like now with this ice storm, these branches, just the branches breaking off of this oak tree, would come right through our roof. And like my wife said, if they get 2 inches of ice, there ain't nothing moving. No people, no emergency vehicles, no repair, nothing. And she goes, if a damn branch came through the roof, no heat in that, we'd just be stuck with a hole in the roof for a week or two. And Northwest, Midwest, yeah, this not for us. It's been cold and it's not been good. I've had years where it's 65, 70 degrees on the weekends, and we'd go out and do stuff in that, but not this year. And see, this ice storm, it's happened several times. It happened once before I moved here. I forget what it was, 2000 or 90 something, 1998 or something like that. But it shut down Greensboro, and there were sections of the city where people just had no heat, no nothing, and had to get out and go into a hotel room, in another side of the city. And the last one we had in 2011, it was days before we were able to get out. It did warm up enough to melt the ice on the roads, and we were able to get up onto a highway and go to, we were headed out of where we lived, headed towards Burlington, and on the very outskirts on the highway there was one store open. That the internet, the banking thing was down, so we went and bought some water, and I put gasoline in the vehicle, because I was down a quarter tank or something. I was nervous because everything was without power for miles. I think I drove 8, 10 miles out from where we were to get to somebody where they had a gas pump working. you know. So yeah, it's pretty terrifying. But with each catastrophe, basically they rebuild the system to where when we've had lightning strikes and such things, and so isolated things, uh, it wasn't bad. The last really bad storm we had about a year or two ago, our power went out for an hour or two and then went back on. Okay, and there were people in certain areas that their power was out for 3 days, almost 4 days. So, yeah, unpleasant. So I thought I'd get out, have a live now. So, yeah, 4x4 is cool, but on a sheet of ice. See, here are these roads. They built these roads back in the colonial days, and there's a lot of hills in that. And I don't care unless you get them to scrape the road down, which they're not going to do, and then drop a ton of rock salt, which they don't do. They use brine here. They don't have rock salt. You hit that hill or whatever, the way the road is, you're going off. 4x4 or not, you're going off the road. Now, the climate here is strange. It's in this weird thing. Like up in New York, I think they had one ice storm. It was a freak winter back in the 90s, where the upper part of New York State, that part that goes like that, got hit with this ice storm. Then people didn't have power for almost a month and a half up there. And if you look at a map and see the roads, most of that is the Adirondack forest. There really ain't nothing up there. It was bad. Oh yeah. The only thing I have here, don't have a wood stove, and that's another thing. It never really gets cold enough to get a good draw on a wood stove, and I see these people firing them up now, and what's weird is it's not cold enough, and then the smoke just settles like right at the roof. It settles like a fog. Uh, so everyone, oh, we're getting wood this and that. Yeah, go ahead, but I don't know. Yeah, because up back where I come from, up central New York, they're getting 3 foot of snow. They've been snowed in. There was pictures of people on the thruway trapped at one of the rest stops. The trucks, cars, everything. I mean, it was like 4 foot of snow. They were in there. It was negative in Utica. I seen a forecast this week. Wednesday it was negative 27 or something. And same with Syracuse. You know, And I remember when it got like that. I remember negative 27 and having a cold snap where it lasted for a week or two. Okay. I mean, that's when it's rough. The vehicles, all that crap. Okay. My brother was complaining to me his heating bill for last month was $450 or something. I don't miss that crap at all. Yeah. But that's the thing. And it didn't hit negative numbers, but see here when it gets below 16, 10 or something like that for a day or so, the wellhead freezes and I lose water. So I had to go run the extension cord out to the heat tape on top of the wellhead and plug that in. But with the ice storm, I don't know. I don't want to short circuit, start a friggin' fire. Um, but if I lose power, you ain't got no water anyway. I looked into getting one of them siphons, and I'd have to have somebody come install it because you got to go through the cap. You got to drill through the cap to put the actual pump into there. I was thinking of doing it. And they cost the pump people get you. So I don't freeze. Yeah, I was doing that yesterday. It was, I think I went out there was 40, and that I shot those guns, uh, and it was rough. Okay, then it finally once it got warm to where my hands weren't freezing, that's when all these people show the hell up. Are trying to run in there and shoot this, shoot that, running around. Now, and I said, "Good, I'm done. Good go." That's another thing. People have had kerosene heaters. Kerosene heaters ain't a bad deal. My buddy bought one a year or so ago. And they were looking for kerosene. People don't use it, so a lot of the places, the gas stations that would have a kerosene pump, they don't carry the kerosene anymore. I think there's one down the road from me, and one guy was asking, he goes, "Well, I was going to get the kerosene heater out. Where can I get it?" They're telling him one place, and I said, "You can go down." There was another station that has it in Pleasant Garden. And I said, "You can go down the road. They got it at the other." "Oh, I'm driving." I said, "All right, freeze your ass, man." But my friend went to several stations. They used to have it. They don't carry it no more. So that's another thing. Propane. Anybody selling propane? My wife told me to get another 20-pound cylinder. I said, "We got two." I said, and third one might be something wrong with the valve, but I'll look at it. Worst comes to worst. I don't know, I'll get another one because they're talking if we uh, get this outage and go into next week, okay, uh, it may be because if there's an inch or two of ice, it's not going to get warm at all next week. So this may drag on to a week, then starting in February or something. Even if they do recover from this, there's another storm on the way within another 2 weeks coming down here. So that this is everybody's a little insane. Foot here. Okay. Yeah, see that, like I said, this is a very strange area that I live in. Actually, if it would snow and snow like a foot would be a lot better than that friggin' ice. Okay, but something about some warm air is coming in off the Gulf Stream and it's pushing the snow part of it up into Virginia and that, they're going to get snow. But where we are, Georgia, North, South Carolina, I guess all the way down to Texas, somehow this belt, there's going to be rain and an ice storm. And they said if Texas gets hit with it again, it's going to be devastating. There's somebody talking about that. But we got hit with the floods last year, and the whole western part of the state was washed away. I don't know if they've even recovered all of the bodies yet of the people who were killed in that disaster there. Um, I don't know if they've even reopened the roads to go through the mountains to get up into Tennessee and travel. Nobody talks about that no more. After they all got done arguing, fighting, screaming, we were all donating stuff, and guys were taking it there. Then you don't hear nothing about it. A couple of the people I know that have family there, I guess they're okay. Actually, I seen them when they drove to visit my friends. And, I seen one person's father. He came all the way down. So, but that's another thing. I don't know if they've restored everything up there. You know. Yeah, kerosene's not popular anymore. I don't know what people use. I kind of don't like them space heaters, like garage heaters with propane. I know people that put one of them in the middle of the living room. I'm like, that's not for me. The garage is okay. I've had them for the garage, but they don't hold out very well. Um, and it's not for heating inside. During three. So I don't know. That's where people say this temperature stable gunpowder. I've never went out in the cold with a chronograph and noticed, but a lot of people talk about it when they talk about powders about temperature stability. So yeah, I believe it. It probably does happen, but I've never looked for it. I've never measured it. Okay, so I haven't gotten that in depth. Generally, when it's really cold, I'm home. I'm not out shooting. It's one of the benefits of living there. Had a friend, he decided to take his elderly parents, they're almost in their 90s or in their 90s. He took them to his sister's house in Florida, halfway down Florida. He left this morning, about a 10-hour drive, just to get his folks safe to where, because he said at their age, if they fall or slip or whatever and they lose power, he goes, it's not going to be good. So he had to actually take them out of state. What's up there? Bracing for the storm. That's what's up. And I figured I'd do a live because, like I said, I might lose power for quite a while. Okay, days, maybe even a week, depending on how terrible it gets. Um, so I won't. And the storm is going to hit right when I do my live at 10 o'clock. That should be when things are going to get interesting Sunday morning. So I may, if I'm not there, that means I don't have power. And the channel and all the other stuff, all the stuff I got lined up to put out isn't going to happen. And I probably won't, depending on how long it takes, how severe it is. But they're they're warning people, and they've told people starting tomorrow, if you don't have to leave, don't even leave your home. And yesterday or the day before, the day before, my wife went to the grocery store, and it was mayhem. You go, there's no milk. I went this morning to get some bread, and I don't know, I got like these loaves of French bread or baguettes or something. Sliced bread, there's very few of it. Those aisles were wiped out in a couple grocery stores. Um, there's there's no milk, no eggs, that kind of stuff. But I went down. I got some things. My wife wanted me to get some coffee and tea, and that was still there. I guess people don't drink coffee that much. Uh, but yeah, I went propane. Anybody selling propane, it's mayhem. I went to the one place that I usually go, and there was cars, people standing in line. I don't know if they were just taking cash only or something, because there's a whole line of people, about 30 people waiting to get their stuff filled. And I think the hardware store, the actual store itself, was closed or something. I don't know. Yeah, I hit it. Get some. Now my reloading bench is in the garage, so I don't, the powder and stuff ain't out there, but the tooling and that is. All of that stuff stored here in the closet. But yeah, reloading gonna go on. Yeah, I got some more stuff. I'm gonna do some more work with them. I mean, at the price point, it's simple for me to do that without going broke. Of course, I also got into the retro thing. I figured out what the problem was on my one rifle. They got the wrong friggin' front sight base on there. And I went and looked, and it just said for M16A1, so it should have the non-F mark, and the thing that doesn't have an F mark on it, but I just measured it, it's a F height. So kind of got hosed. That's the thing about building this stuff. These people are getting crazy. I'll be looking for it. All right. But yeah, that's why I'm making this. Uh, like I said, by my usual time slot on Sunday, uh, depending on what happens. And like I said, the last big storm we had and power was out, uh, it did not affect me. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed and hope that when they did the repair work, and then have been cutting down trees. So on a thing like this, but branches is one thing during a windstorm, but these ice storms, the whole damn tree comes down. Okay. And they still got power lines sagging from the last time down the road where they haven't quite repaired that yet. How's it going up there in Pennsylvania? I know up in New York they're getting a ton of snow. Weird thing happened. I did the hand loads before the prices went nuts, and I kind of gave up on it. So I've been buying the ammo, and you're talking 50, 60 cents a round, depending on what you buy. I'll do a video. I got a gigantic box from when I started buying these discount guns. It's just full of brass. Okay. And truthfully, I calculated to try to reload it, buying the powder for what powder goes for now. If you can find the powder, okay. I'm saving, I think I saved 50 cents on a box or something. The primers. I think I got some small rifles because I was going to do some more 30 carbine. I can't remember, some foreign primers. So, who the hell knows? I'd like to start. And then a lot of these guns don't like my reloads. They fit in a Lyman cartridge gauge, and they shoot in some guns, I don't know, that old set of dies I had, I bought a new, I don't know if it was, did I get a new 223? Or was it a 308 small base? I might have got the 308 small base. I have to check now. You have reminded me. I should get a new 5.56 small base set. I may have bought a new sizing die, and see how that works. Because that one I bought, that was way back in the 80s, and I've used that thing for years. And for what they cost, you know. No, no, I don't. An AR-15 is an AR-15. And I know people like firing 22s in them and that, but the way my club was, I would have to go to the rimfire range and that, so I never did. I never did any of them. And I really don't know many people that do shoot them. I know they're out there, but I never fool with it. I got a couple 22 rifles. If I want to shoot 22, I just go with them. But never did a conversion in an AR rifle. Yeah, what I decided I was gonna try is I got that reloader 15.5, which I bought by mistake, and they do have load data for a 77 grain bullet for that powder, and PPU makes a bullet. So I was thinking if I was gonna reload, but like I said, I have to get another sizing die or something because uh, them loads will bind up and jam in some of the guns. Okay, some of my gun, I've fired a ton of that stuff in some of my builds. I don't know what it is. It's just, you know, something ain't quite right. You know, after watching School of the American Rifle and how that guy gauges everything and sees where the stuff is, you know, he's got all the gauges to check everything and finds out what stuff's out of spec, which a thousand's here, a thousand's there. When you gauge it, even though it's slightly out of spec, these guns will run, okay, until you get in there. I don't know why that ammo uh, doesn't work in some of them, you know. See, I think the brass does spring back once you fire it. It does just spring back a little to where it'll bind and be a problem. Well, if you the things coming up here, the cheapest way to go because these sales like Radical Firearms and that, the price is starting to come back up. You're not finding them guns for 3.5 on a clearance sale. You know, and then like I said, rule of thumb is if I order something with the transfer fees and shipping and handling on a good day, you're looking at adding $50 to that price. So if something's 340 or something like that, you're getting close. 400 bills is about what most of those guns with a brand name cost. Some of them may have been 25 cheaper or something like that, depending on the sale. But if you go, you're looking at 1.5 for the PSA lowers on sale, and then you can get Bear Creek. Some of them things you catch a sale, sign up for the email, get 10% off or something like that. They have complete uppers for under two. You know, that you're looking, say with shipping, I think the one I got was 175 with the side charger handle. It was 175 for the complete upper. So 175, or it was say it was two to get it delivered. So 3.5, you got and you're not going to beat that. You know, 16-inch barrel, 1.7 twist, and actually, Bear Creek Arsenal kind of hit or miss with their quality. You know, them guns are somewhat fairly accurate. They're no less accurate than the other budget guns in that $400 range. Okay, they're all about the same. And then when you find the ammo, that's why I did that thing of testing the ammo. It's like I said, the Anderson shoots that Turkish 62 grain stuff out of that 1 1/8 inch barrel, 1 inch group. That little pistol that I did, I was shooting the standard green tip ammo, the overrun, and you know, it was like this, and then you'll see it in the video. And then I went and I took that this one local shop has that stuff from Peru or something. I forget. It's initials F something or other, and a 50 round boxes of it, and it's a 62 grain bullet. That shot, a group like this, I'm talking under an inch, 10 rounds. Okay, for some odd reason, that upper I got from Brownells, that gun was, an actual iron sights. Okay, a little pistol thing, 10-inch barrel. That thing was deadly with that ammo. And it's the weirdest thing. And all these guns I'm testing, if you go through the ammo, now the last one I tested, my side lock Bear Creek, it likes that, comes in a white box, the PPU 55 grain bullet load shot under an inch group. Okay, in the one Bear Creek Arsenal 1 and 7 twist, it shot that fantastic. Okay, so, and don't ask me why or how or how to tell the difference. You just got to do it, and then you find the ammo, and then I go and I buy 200-300 rounds, and I just shoot it through the gun. I had to drop the die lower with the chamber cut. Yeah, see, that's what I believe's going on there. I probably wasn't going all the way down, but I loaded a bunch of ammo for somebody to go coyote hunting. I mean, like 200 rounds of it. Put it in plastic boxes. He had a 50 grain little jacketed hollow point. It was terrible working with them bullets because you could easily deform that little tip. That was before the crisis, and the guy went, and I guess they go hunt coyotes with ARs all the time, and never had a complaint or nothing. So I don't know. Combat Armory, what do they specialize in? Combat Armory, let's try that. Combat Armory, do. Barrels. Barrels and parts and things. Lower parts, gas box. Let's look at interesting. No, I have not. What are their prices like? Barrels. Let's look at barrels. No, but I will. I'll look at it. I'll check that out. Yeah, not saying he wouldn't. It's just something I've never worked with or done. All right. Now we're looking at ice. Ice, couple inches of ice, which is devastating. You ain't shoveling ice, man. And trees, the last one we had in 2011, I mean, trees collapse. You stay indoors. That's why me and the wife, over the past 2 years, we cut all the trees down around the house. Okay, in the backyard. Because you get 2 inches of ice at one tree we had, you get a branch fall, and come through your damn roof. and they shut everything down. They were already warning us, you're not going to get no emergency calls in or nothing. Now is not a good time to have a heart attack or a medical emergency in the middle of this stuff either. You might be shit out of luck. AR and Glock clones. Yeah, that's about what the hell we've been reviewing here. I checked it. After you said that, I went there. The lockup on it's tight. Okay, on the one I built. And I had issues with it, but it's with the front sight post is the wrong one. They got an F1 on there, and it's not an F mark. But no, I checked the lockup. The lockup's tight. That's PSA lower, and I think that's a Luth or Lute, whatever the hell the name is, upper, which and it locks up. Okay, I did not notice any play in them. Really shouldn't be any sloppiness for what the hell you're paying for them. But no, the lockup's good. All right, thank you. We'll see. It's getting close. I got to get a rolling here in a little while myself. I got some business to wrap up for all this starts. I got the rest of the afternoon. Some things I got to do. And hopefully, this won't be as bad as they say, but from what they're saying, like I said, an inch to 2 inches of ice is it's deadly. You can really get your house damaged, or you can get hurt if you're out and about. With trees falling. That last one, I got stuck coming home from work when the sun come up, and I mean, you're talking tree, 20, 30, 40-foot trees coming down across the road. And like I said, one old fella, Dan was driving his SUV, and a damn tree fell on him. He's lucky he wasn't dead. The way it just the time, and he was just driving down the road, and bang, a tree falls on you. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what we're preparing for. It won't start, I guess, until, from what my wife says, the latest thing, somehow it's going to start snowing Saturday afternoon. Then, because of the warm air coming from the Gulf Stream, it's going to push the temperature to a point where the snow is going to go north up into Virginia and higher up. And then there's a belt starting with North Carolina and going down, I believe, into Georgia and that, South Carolina also. And it's going to rain, and you're going to get 1 or 2 inch ice built up. So, and that's not good. I've been through this once already. Well, I'm doing this now to tell people, if I'm not on Sunday, that means I ain't got power. 'Cause I ain't going nowhere. I ain't gonna leave the house after Saturday morning. But if I ain't live, that means I ain't got no power. So that's why I'm doing the live today. All right, guys. I thank everyone for showing up. Now, I had a lot of people here. I should maybe change the lives to a different time every now and again to get some of the people participating I haven't heard from in a while either. So that's it. gonna bear down. If you don't see me Sunday or hear anything and that, you know, that means I'm without power and however long it takes. Thanks for stopping by and stay tuned, guys.